I'm going to go to the comments here. So I got some comments I'm going to answer, I suppose. So lead diffusion. Asking, yeah, people make money, but I never seen anybody make money. Never seen you make money. You don't always close it out though, right? So in other words, okay, here's the thing. How this is the idea of letting your profits run to some degree on some tickets. Some tickets you're going to get out of right away. So definitely you are taking something off the table. And last night the market comes down and fills me in this little pullback here. And you can see it on 3-period RSI. So RSI, after a while, so the RSI guy, Andrew Cardwell, who showed me the RSI, he would just look at the RSI. Like, this is what CCI guys do. They just look at that and they're like, okay, that's that's the market to them. They're so into the indicator, they're like, oh yeah, this is obviously a buy down here. Or, like, if you saw this now, when I see this, I'm like, okay, well, this is fair value in the middle. This bottom here, take this all the way across. So here's your RSI pivot and closing prices. And you're just picking this kind of whatever you can afford range. And the thing is that if you're gonna trade an indicator, you're literally gonna take trades based on the fact that you're in this window. And I could turn on the 50-yard line in here, and you'd see it, right? Or I could drag this up to the 50. So what Cardwell does is he actually looks at this number and says 50 point. He's like, oh, it's above 50. So and it goes 0 to 100. That's the thing about RSI is it's an index that's so clean. It's just one number. There's no high, low, close, volume. What is did it go up? Did it go down? I mean, it is up and down, but it is the ultimate zigzag indicator. Somebody asked me about the zigzag indicator. Yeah, Andrew Carl has been messaged me on Twitter about his RSI course. He's quite an aggressive marketer. Yeah, okay, so Cardwell. This guy's a country guy, and he is a stick in the mud. He is so... I could save you some... I hate to say I could save you the torture of his course. There's if you go on the YouTube, it's called the RSI guy, and this guy interviews him, and he walks you through. But the thing that Cardwell that just flips me out is the guy is telling people that if you're going to run RSI on the Forex market, you should run a 40-period RSI. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Plus, I saw him down in New Orleans just before gold took off. Now, gold's like $275 an ounce, and I said to him, look at this fucking... and this is a 13-period RSI, so I try to make it like Fibonacci RSI, and I trim it back to 13, and I show him this big chart I had printed out. I went to a fucking real print store. Because I spent $2,000 on his course, and I had the tapes. One tape was blank. They sent me a new one. But, it's the guy. And then I met the guy twice. First time I saw him, I just was like, holy fuck, who is this guy? I mean, he was just had the whole room. Everybody was just staring at his chart, and he just knocking off the prices, calling off the prices on RSI. I'm like, Jesus Christ. Now, he never fucking changed Wells Wilder. He does have a 3-period and a 3-period smooth, and he goes, yeah, you can use that, but he goes, it's too early. I said to him on the gold chart, he goes, it's too early. I'm like, you kidding me? I go, dude, you got to get in this trade. But there were people that would never buy gold because they were burned. There's all these people. And, Cardwell says stuff that I never really thought was worth 2,000. In other words, I got all the tapes and I've got all the books. and his charts are CCG charts. They look like shit. They're fucking done on Xerox paper. I mean, they've been faxed. And I'm in my car listening to the cassette tape of him talking, and then I thought, oh, I get it. It's the dumb shit he says, like, would you go golfing if there was a 90% chance of rain? So he's got a filter on his trades, and he's been able to call market moves beyond anything anybody thinks the market's going to go. He's the only guy I've ever seen that says, no, it's going to go up. And he had to add paper to his charts because he was doing his charts by hand, which is the other thing that I didn't realize is that when you print a chart out and you draw on it, it's a whole different thing. Now the market's embedded in your head. And you're like, okay, that's the market. I can just see the trade. You already know where the market's going to be. If you've printed it out and you've drawn it out, unless you can really have a photographic memory, you can take snapshots of the market and what it's doing and how it's really not going anywhere most of the time. 80% of the time it's not going anywhere. And hence the zigzag indicator. But, I mean, you have to be... Now, this is the thing. I must have spent, I don't know, 12 grand on going to trading school. So, everybody has a different angle on it. And when the one guy didn't get any kind of, nobody showed up at his booth at all these trade shows, was the guy that had the money management book. Because people were like, dude, where's the Garley? This guy didn't have any candlesticks. Like, what the fuck? At that point, this is like 1995, I want to say, people were just gung-ho. They were just like, oh, you got to get these Steve Neeson, all these. Okay, great. Where's the trade plan? No trade plan. So believe it or not, I've been able to take this account and just drive it around. I can drive this account off a cliff, or I could make money with it. I could have closed out all profitables at 125, reloaded with limits. But to be honest with you, there's a point at which the spread and the re-entering of a trade and letting it play out and having it predefined that you are going to scalp out of this thing and you're going to scale out. I'm trading 4 currency pairs. Don't forget, if I was to trade 1 currency pair and I was to only spend half the time in the market, and I'm scalping that on a 1 hour, 4 hour basis, right? In other words, I'm scalping swing trading a 4 hour chart, and I'm flat until London opens, and I can get filled on limits all day when London opens. It doesn't matter. It's about dumping the whole thing, going flat, and then coming back in with just one instrument, one currency pair, and then you don't really have to trade it much. I mean, you could take an account from $1,000 to $5,000, and then you have to kind of just trade it like there's only 500 in there, because otherwise you're just going to fucking end up with equity swings, and I've done it, where you're up $5,000, now you're down $3,000, now you're up $8,000, now you're down $9,000. Okay, you still got $5,000 in the account, or you still got 1,000, or you still got 13,000 in the account. At what point, if you have a brain what you're doing, see, now then you realize, well, the market's not always moving, so you're not always in a position that's growing. And you may be actually in a drawdown, because if you're a trend trader, and anybody knows that they're trend trading, they're going to fucking be underwater. They might be underwater for the first 3 days of some 8-day move. So this is where, the problem with the trading is that you think there's only one way to do it, I suppose. Not realizing, even if there's only one way to do it, you got to do it and cycle it. In other words, you'd have to still be able to agree with the people on the other side of your trade. Because you have to say, I'm getting out. I'm getting the fuck out. As soon as we come into the seller's window, I'm going to get out. Now, in 4 currency pairs, you have to unload whichever one you think is climaxing or that one that made the most amount of money. As soon as you clear off one pair out of 4 that has made the most amount of money, or you go flat on everything, or just go flat regardless. I mean, you're taking losses, mini losses and stuff, right? So how do you balance out how much money's in the account, how many tickets you can run, what's the size of the tickets, how many are scalps, how many are swings, are you a person that's going to be in the trade for a whole week? And finally, like, so you could take an account and you could run it right to the edge and say, I can't afford another ticket. If it goes straight down 300 pips, I can't blow up the account. Let's let it wait for it to retrace, and it may never retrace. But if it does, and you're in the right size at the right time, and all that shit lines up, but then the question is, how can I replicate that? How can I repeat that? In other words, am I making money just because I'm a good money manager or I'm completely lucky? Is that a good thing? And I kind of think it is when I watch somebody like, dare I say this, Forex Hangout guy, bless his heart. He's a good money manager, but my guy getting in the market is like, oh, wow. You know, be like the guy that shows up who can't tune his guitar. And then, you know, so you can kind of look at a tick chart. And I'd say, if you're going to trade at the market, you got a tick chart up, you got 1 currency pair, you got the monthly chart, like this guy fucking Calvin Klein that was used to just come after me. He had a 1-minute chart all the way to a monthly chart on an Apple computer. Dude, this thing was 18 charts. All Akinashi, though, mind you. And it was just 2 currencies. I think it was dollar, yen, euro, dollar. And I'm like, okay, now what? I said, what do we do? Do we pull the trigger now because the 1 minute's oversold, but actually not all the other charts have a good stochastic signal? So therefore, I mean, as soon as you put that shit on the screen, it's taking up real estate. And so what are you doing with it? Do you have a trade plan for the zigzag pattern? Yeah, I do. And it's successful to the point at which, in other words, it's a labor-saving device because all the trades I put on last night, even though they were insane, like this, I don't even think I'm going to be able to get in this fucker now. But I'm in a little bit. I owe everybody a Cuban sandwich. But that's the thing, you know, to really look at this thing rip north now. Now that I'm in 1K. Thanks a lot for yeah. But see, this is just how it is. And where's the setups, right? So what is a good setup? And where's my fucking terminal window? And how big are you going to trade that one setup? Oh, fuck, it's all squeezed in here. This is all fucked up. So here I got 50, I'm back to $53. Now I've been 125, and then we were up to 119, and then we've been down to, I was down to $30 earlier today. And I think part of it's because I'm not taking on, like I'm not chasing this one. Look at this thing rip. Now, this is the obvious entry, right? The setup that you've been waiting for all day is the market comes down the half-hour trend line on close, and you're like, okay, I can see that's a channel. I did it. Some guy was this rat. This guy named Rat, whatever. I can't remember these people's names. Ratman. Like right now, what's the trade for me? I'm going to buy here, and I'm going to buy here. I want to add to this thing, but not at the market because I know they're going to slam this thing back. So I'm going to give me 15 minutes to drop 4 pips. It's pointless to buy it here. It's in the seller's window. And so, you know, if you're trading really heavy, and you just had a standard lot right there, and this thing comes back to these treetops, you're probably going to get the fuck out. I've seen people trade with real money. And I'm like, dude, you are up like, dude, just get the fuck out. You can reload that fucking gun. See, now that's the whole thing. What is how flat are you? How in the market are you? This idea of 2% risk is ridiculous. What if you go from 0.01% risk all the way to 10% risk, but you're not risking 10%? Well, I guess you are. If it's dollar wise, what is 10%, right? $100. You got $1,000 in the account. You're risking $100 on a trade. But if you put in a fucking 10 pip stop, you're just asking for so much to happen. It's better to make $100. It's better to make those 10 pips and come back in. Now, this is where you really can build the account quickly because you're like, okay, got it. All right, let's take some of that. Oh, yeah. Or you have the alarm set, so when the fill happens, the sound goes off, and you're like, oh, yeah. But you'll be surprised if you don't babysit the market. You'll turn around and you'll be up on a trade. You'll be like, wow, look at that. I mean, staring at the market isn't making it happen. The other thing that Cardwell says is, no matter what you do, nothing's going to change that trade. That scheme that you have is never going to fucking be affected. Now look at the sellers are just cashing in on this thing. But I'm going to buy this pullback. Like I said, 5 pips deep, 30 minutes, an hour here. So this is set it and forget it to me. 4 hours, and I was running the 4 hours, and they paid off this morning. I had 4 hours in there. I can go. This one's finally filled. Look at this, 8 hours, 20 pips deep. Now each one's unique. Now it's like once you get down here, you're like, okay, 6 hours. Now these aren't greedy targets really, and I don't have I need some super ungreedy targets because I noticed that I wasn't getting out of some fantastic trades without hitting the take profits per if you go for take profits per instrument down here, which is what that is, it's supposed to be a profit per symbol. Now look at them come back and fill me here. I don't know if I have money for this trade though. I may have to just start another account, sadly. Just drama. But here is the 10 pip grid, which I know this is a 2K all the way down. So I know this is based on a kind of a spacing grid of only 2K, but it adds up. And I like this because it's just this thing looks just going to rip up. See, the scalpers that have sold a standard lot on this treetop, they're getting out. You can see them cashing out. Right there, that's why it's all frisky. Okay, they're out. Now what? Who's next? Well, since I'm not on a standard lot, I don't have enough money for that, I can take and put 100 tickets in here and create a standard lot in like nice, soft, feathered in, soft entry. And I can pick it. Okay, here at 4 pips. Talking 4 pips, which is pretty deep on this currency. I mean, this has only got to pull back like 3 more pips, I'll be filled. So here's how I'd be careful, but wouldn't you be careful anyways? I mean, if you're trading money, if you don't respect this $46 account, you'll never respect the $46,000 account, right? I mean, what is the effort per trade that you're planning on doing? In Asian session, look at how rambunctious this market is. And look at this. You can make a trend line argument. From the first time you're allowed to draw the trend line, which is here, which is pretty steep, actually. I mean, that's a fucking half-hour chart. Let's go to the 1-hour chart. So 1-hour chart's less work. This is like the classic 1-hour chart. Oh, it's so stupid. Okay, broke the trend line, but what does that mean? I mean, you want to be before that, right? You want to get in the first time you can draw a pullback, which is actually this one here. This is very shallow, but if you go for the long-legged one, it's here. But I'm sure, well, the RSI in this one, but So now we're storming north, right? Now you'd have to say, well, you got to go to the 5-minute chart. You don't have a choice. When the market heats up like this, you've got to have like, okay, 5 minutes, man. This 5-minute chart, oh my God. Right? So here we can see the structure on closing prices really clearly. You got a double top, becomes a bot breakout, pull back to the breakout point, goes up. The 5-minute chart, this guy in the fucking Forex Hangout guy blow my fucking brains out. He goes, I'm going to trade the 5-minute chart. I go, you're not trading the 5-minute chart. He's like this. He's like, yeah, what we're going to do is see it's making lower high. Yeah, these are all trades, dude. I mean, if you look at it like this, you're like, this is like fucking 2 hours of data. Look at all that shit. And why in the fuck is the guy trading so big on one ticket? Just buy these pullbacks. Okay, I'm accumulating. Yeah, the market's getting quiet. Look, it's getting small little triangles going on the 5. Aren't you getting in? No, I'm waiting for confirmation. I'll believe it when it gets up here. I just want to fucking blow my brains out watching that guy trade. I can't take it. Like, I'm sure he's not a serial killer, Here, I'm gonna buy if it pulls back 3 pips. It's too deep. There it goes. Wouldn't come in. Here, 4 pips. Now, this is pretty aggressive because I'm getting in like right here, right now. And if they fill me, there's not enough money in the account. So I ran the margin right. I had only $5 left. But wow, this is a trend trade. Now the moving average on the 5-minute, you know, and you can integrate the 15 with the 5 very easily at this level of zoomage. I think here it's a little tough to get the narrative, but here I like this. This is about as okay. This is as tight as I want to go. Because I can't see the whole, this is way too zoomed out. This is like, I can't even think like that. Forget it. Look at this, MetaTrader lets you zoom out like this. At this level here, this has got to be my favorite view, and I've got this, windows zoomed in. Just because this story makes sense. Right? We don't have to look back 40 weeks right now. Here's your bottom becomes a top on the 15. It walks back now. Of course, what's the trade? Do you wait for it to come back here and sell? Well, maybe, but what do you do in the meantime? Look at all these juicy entries. Buy new lows here for a slam up into this floor. I mean, these are all just fantastic, get her done, dumb shit. Fucking buy new lows. Don't be a pussy. The fuck? This Forex Hangout guy just blows my mind. He's having a sandwich. I don't know why the guy just gets out of my skin. Who's eating a sandwich while they're on screen trading? We're about to take out the highs here. I don't know, man. Look at the half hour. Look at this thing ripping north. Look at them fucking rip your face off with this fucking retracement. Fuck the dollar. Look at these guys jump on this train. Look at this 4-hour structure. This is the dumbest shit you've ever seen. Gee, is that a pivot? Now you know what? Cardwell's a nice guy. Knock yourself out. I think my, now that I look back on it, of course, at the time, it's just like anything else. At the time, you're like, dude, like, where's the Holy Grail? And you're like, oh, I get it. This guy's just about like, well, we're just going to do that. And he never called out a trade. When I was there, he never said, well, and people asked him, hey, well, how do you get in this trade? He's like, well, he goes, you can just set it and forget it. Really, he goes, nothing you do is going to change that trade. But now we have the glory of MetaTrader, and we can just double click our way to happiness of just low effort, man. I'm gonna double click on that thing on my tablet and just be like, yeah, go to sleep. I mean, nothing I do is going to change the scenario that I believe that I see unfolding, or the vacuum I see that's there. Look at these bears making money on this shit. Look at that trap entry. Wow. Look at him rip that back off the top. Now they're coming back to fill me here. Let's see what happens. Look at it just come ripping back off those tops. Now the first scalp I would have conservatively got out there, and now look at coming back for more punishment. As you come into Asia. I do love Asia, man. It's just, look at this. Look at this trap up here. I don't look at it as a trap. It's a trap if you bought on a buy stop there. That's a stop hunt for a bear bot that's managing the account, right? You can see the trailing. What robot isn't running trailing? And if, like this diffusion's saying, yeah, if I would have got out of these trades, in other words, if I had a trailing, if I'm short all the way down here, and the robot's coming in, or I'm coming in and saying, well, you know what? I sold up here like a fucking genius at this tippy top, so what I'm going to do is I'm protect my profits and let this thing walk down. Yes, of course, naturally, right? I'd be stopped out maybe here. Or do I get out of, if I sold up here, do I get out here? Yeah. In chess game theory, you got to get out here. Like if you sold up here, you've got to get out here. You already knew that you were going to get out here because this is what you're expecting to be the top that becomes a bottom, and the trend just keeps on going and everything's wonderful. I mean, this setup there is the market's coming to here. Right, this is your trend line that's going to hold, and it comes to here and it fails. And, you know, people like ICT would focus on that and call that retail trading. The retail traders are getting sucked into that move. But it doesn't matter because the size that you're in that matters. In other words, if some guy put a buy stop here, or even a buy stop here, hopefully, right? The tighter the trailing entry, the better. Or he does the 1 hour chart where he says, I'm going to put a buy stop on this 4 hour clusterfuck. I'm going to put a sell stop here because I can identify that the market's been doing nothing in his low volatility breakout system, right? I mean, you don't have to be getting in on limits, but you can see where the sellers are going to you can see where this thing's satisfied itself. And this is the window. And you only make it halfway into that window if you're using the jigsaw theory. And so we can take this and we can actually say, well, I can plan out the whole fucking next week here, or the next 8 hours. Where do you think we're going to be in? Can we get down here and can we get 35 pips deep? And how about 6 hours, 40 pips deep, right? I can see the market get down here in 6 hours. Say London opens and we come ripping down here like this, right? That's a no-brainer trade. I've already proven that makes money on that limit bot, that ticket launcher. You have an order down here that it's gonna, if it gets filled, what's the probability the market could come back to here or even to here if you're buying that deep? And ultimately, you know, and you're greedy. Well, for your first exit, it's got to be here. But now, are you going to hand place that and try to queue up the target to there? You should. But what if you never make it to that? And what if it goes beyond that? So you'd have to allow for those kind of little nuances. Then all these are hard. Now, these are bad ratios here. 33 pips to make 24, but this trade's a higher probability of cashing out than this one, 33 to make 44. This is all micro plans, right? These are all micro trade plans that add up to one composite situation. Now I'm up $2, and what I can say is, God, I'm in too much margin, which I really am, and I should just hit the take all profits key. Whatever's a winner right now, and that's a completely something that I really haven't been doing because I just don't care. Now, if I wanted to just really work really hard, in other words, it's going to be more work. Because then I'm going to say, okay, well, fuck, which one do I get out of? Or do I get out of all, or do I go flat and say, wow, I'm actually at $42. I was at $28 earlier today, and think to myself, I'm up 100%. All that shit's going to come to your mind, right? So, yeah, Ratman's saying 300% return. Yeah, because the thing is, the funny thing is that it is a hell of a percentage. Start with $1,000 and get to 10 grand in 1 year. That's pretty good trading, right? It does be a good percentage of return. But like I said, once you get to about 5 grand, you're probably going to, most people are going to risk more because they have more to risk and they think they're really good at trading now. When, you know, the Forex Hangout guy's winning because he's just like, okay, that's it. I mean, he's not over trading. If anything, he's under trading it, and he just, I don't think he sees how the market functions. Looks like the sellers ran out of gas here. Lucky for me. Another thing is watching the margin to the free margin. So my experience, my whole experience with Forex is it's about leverage. So at 501 leverage, which is typically what it was all about in the beginning, I would just run the thing right till I was out of margin. I had no margin left and no stops running. And just be risking the whole account and going, oh yeah, look at this fucker. Look at this thing go through a swing. And to me, it's like not even real money compared to trading commodities with soybeans where, you know, I'm reading Cardwell. I'm going to the Cardwell class and going to meet the Alexander Elder. So I met these guys twice, and I took a 1 day, I think it was like $800, 2 days with Elder, and he's trading on a overhead projector off a laptop that's like high tech shit, 1990, 93, and he's got a trade he's doing. He gets out of this trade. It's a bond trade, and the 30-year bond. And it's like $32 a tick or something. And he goes, I'm going to get out. And he goes, you know, that's a trade. He goes, there's 3 trades, flat, long, or short. There's three positions in the market, flat, long, and short. So a lot of these things, I just have a summary version of all these guys, you know. But it is fascinating. I mean, trading's fascinating because it's, well, people say it's true. Okay, it's random, but it is predictable. In other words, it's predictable to a degree. The thing you can't predict is how, in other words, when it's going to happen. We all can see these price voids are going to fill. We just don't know when. Or they may not fill. But we can see the markets pulling into a hole somewhere. And if it's moving really fast into a void, into somewhere, it's probably not going to last. I mean, that move is kind of extreme. Now, it can still go sideways, and people would sell into that as an overbought, oversold situation, and they'd be, okay, I don't see it's not working. And then the money managers are going to cut that trade, and that's going to create a new order imbalance because it's balanced when it pauses. People are like, okay, well, a lot of people are just getting out and going flat, and a lot of people are just getting in. You know, there's like a revolving door. There's the lull. Well, how can you define a doji? It's agreement. Now, people say, oh, it's the market is confused there. In other words, it doesn't have a bias. But I think it's like, it agrees. It's totally calm, and it's at peace until a piece of news comes by, or people come back to the point at which they want to deal the prices. And it's like this ball that's just sitting there waiting to get tugged at. Of course, Asia is the reconciling. That is the settlement. Spreads suck a little bit in the beginning there, and then they tighten up, and then there's a move, and then there's a backlash, and then the whole thing starts all over again into London, into the next day, into the end of the week, and you can kind of see where there's a high probability that the market's going to spill into some price area. And it's really about anticipating that, either placing orders in advance and maybe in combination with trading at the market because you happen to be awake and see the move and you're like, oh, that's a fucking no-brainer. Just buy. Like when this thing dropped here for how many, straight into this hole here on New Zealand, right? And you had buy limits in here and you're up on every ticket right now, right? Presupposing you spaced them properly. And you even bought into here, right? Because you're like, oh, fuck, man, I'm going to buy into that. And then you kind of knew that, well, that was when those tickets, in other words, if you bought this whole spill, and it's not that many pips, but when it came back to here, that this was going to be your swing trade. If you're going to hold this ticket, you could get out of it at break even, but that whole array that you bought down here, maybe dump the whole thing because you could, and a lot of people did. That's why it ricocheted off this floor at this point in time. And then here's the reload. So it's a pure Elliott wave in a way here. You got zero down here. And you got 1, 2, 3 supposed to be the biggest wave, and maybe it comes back to here later tonight, but that's what I'm kind of hoping on. And if I got the available margin, now I could get this account up to $200. It's a lot of work, I'd have to ride it for the next 3 hours in a particular directions, dump the whole fucking thing, or sell into that, which is psychologically more demanding because now you've got to have a scenario and a story in your head of where it's going to climax off of. And we already saw that the scalpers had to take the money and run here because if you go to the 15-minute chart, you can see the party's over, right? There comes 15-minute guys are coming back in on this thing. We've scalped out. The party's over for that, right? Kind of go like this now. So this is the look. And they had their fun. And I didn't cash out there. So I wanted to add on this wick pullback, and I don't know if I got the right fill there. But to me, this is trading. Now, I could sell up into that. I don't have as many sell tickets, so I don't really have the ability to get the good positioning, but I'm going to go for the 20 pips in 2 hours. I'm going to go for the 10 pips in 15 minutes, which happens to be right here at the borderline. So what if it overshoots a little bit, right? Now, I don't have, what I need is a 15 sell limit, 15 pips above. And since I don't have it, I'm kind of hand-tied. I'd have to come up here and get a single drop. All right, so if we go to the top of the drop, so I come up here and go, okay, well, that's 8 hours. I don't want to be there for 8 hours waiting to fill that. So I'd have to be very careful now because there's not much money in the account. And put in I think I had that 15-minute script down here at the bottom. So this is why trading's difficult. Right here, this is work. Okay, I'm going to have to come down here and figure out, well, I want to run an 8 pip stop to make, it's probably not going to make 20 pips. Okay, here, I'll try to make 11 pips with a 1 hour 5K, and I'm going to put it right up there. That's it. It's all you can do. There's nothing else you can do, and nothing's going to change the idea that that's a good trade. Nothing. I mean, the sizing of that's a 5K. Trying to make 11 pips with an 8 pip stop. I might get filled on how many tickets there, right? And this is 1 hour. How many of these can I put in here? So that's the whole question. How much exposure time do you have? How much? I mean, that's work, man. Trying to make 18 pips with an 8 pip stop. 1 hour. Now, I'd like it down here. And I could bracket it. Let's see, I got the pound here. I think I got filled on some crap here. Now you go to the British pound. Look at this beautiful RSI reversal here. I mean, it's just a piece of cake, right? 4 hour. severe oversold with it's crushing. It's a lot of trading's a lot of work. I don't know why people even want to bother with it. It's fun, makes money. Here's a 1 hour, 20 pip stop. I don't know if there's enough money in the account here, but if it comes down here in 1 hour, yeah, I want to buy that. And this is all you're doing. You're just saying, I'm going to do this one. Like, I just would never trade a standard lot on one ticket. It doesn't make any sense. Only if you're on the tick chart and you got your finger on the trigger and you're like, okay, I'm in. I just made $80. I just made $40. I just got out. I saw it was going against me. I lost 20. I mean, you got to be fucking nailing it. It's like, that's like going to the casino. Now, if you want to run a $1,000 stop on one ticket, go for it. It doesn't make sense. I don't know how much money you have, but I can't understand. That's like me going to a guitar store and buying a guitar that costs $1,000 and just leaving it out on the porch in the wintertime. Oh, yeah, I was drinking. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, there's the high probability you're going to get stopped out of this thing. Or you're gonna be $300 underwater and go, God, I don't. Should I wait for them to hit my stop? I mean, what's going through your fucking head? Going through my head is like, well, take me out with a 12 pip stop on a fucking 10K. I'm like, Jesus. Right, keep your losses small, but people are like, oh no, man, I got a fucking Gartley on. Get out of here. I'm a Gartley trader. I don't know, man. It's just like I'd rather spend the money on a fucking. I'd rather go to $5,000 fucking empowered trading than trade a standard lot. God, I just can't wait for this thing to pull back into these limits. Another thing is the patience of it all, right? Waiting for these fills and shit. But yeah, man, I just I say it's all about the tickets, the placement. If you're going to trade at the market. Now, no market orders here either. Have not traded at the market on this account. Everything's been a limit. And no stops either. So it's a really different style, but it'll keep you from getting into dumb fucking chasing the market. That's for sure. And you're absolutely not chasing the market. If you put an order 3 pips deep or 1 pip deep, and it's a limit, you're saying, yeah, dude, I'm trading pullbacks. Get the fuck out of here. What are you nuts? And you're trading a pullback. Now, whether you survive that, whether the stop's appropriate for the velocity of the pullback or just the move, it doesn't have to be a pullback. In other words, are you getting the best price in the future you can possibly get? Well, yeah, because the price now sucks dick. So you're putting an order in there. You're like, okay. And as soon as I did that, I just felt like I have an edge. I have an advantage. Then I have a logical advantage to buy low, sell high. People say, so you can't be that simple about it because you got to really worry about, well, do you have a good setup? Okay, well, but even if it's it may be a good idea to buy 3 tickets spaced 9 pips apart for the next 8 hours as opposed to buying a 3K now with with a wider stop and just going to sleep and not having to babysit the thing. In other words, or not having it, you're not babysitting, but it's getting filled on the limits is a completely planned out system. It's an organized approach. Now, granted, you can put too many tickets in, and too many currency pairs, which I did on the demo. Like I said, I ran it as hot as I could. So I want to see what's going to happen. I kind of know what's going to happen on some level, but I want to see. In other words, if every currency I have is against the dollar, and the dollar index is supposed to make sense against these currencies, then I should see some kind of like, okay, it looks like but there's not going to be a sync mode move against the dollar. Australia and New Zealand are going to be kind of on the same page, and they'll kind of move together. But the euro and the pound can be on completely inverted pages, and so I watched it last night, and oh yeah, there you go. See, that one's screaming, that one's dead. And when the pound was climaxing last night, is when if I was awake, I would have got out. Could have dumped it and made more money because see this move up here, and you had plenty of time to get out. But look at this triple top in this void here. So plenty of chances to get in. Look at all these amazing trades here on the 1 hour. There's a lot of great trades there, right? And look at this one. People have already scalped out, right? Because they could see here's the void here. This is happening on every currency in like it's just go around the block, So obviously you want to buy this on pullbacks. And without blowing up the account, okay, so I put a 4K in right here, and that's pretty aggressive. 1 pip apart. If it blows that out and this one lasts first, you got to plan all this stuff out. It really is orchestrating just the entry on one currency pair with all these tickets, which you should be able to do. In other words, you build the plan, now you're going to trade to the plan. You're kind of forcing yourself to stick with, okay, I'm going to buy a 5K spread over the period of 40 pips for 8 hours with an 80 pip stop to make 80 pips. That's my whole trade plan right there. There's the whole thing, right? Risking $40 to make $40, presupposing they don't take out. This is a hard stop of 40 pips on that all 5 tickets. And it's logarithmic, so it's going to have a nice martingale style entry. Right? Can't ask for more. Put it right here, 8 hours. That thing's got to come all the way down here. I'm risking $40, which I don't have even that much in the account right now. And let that go. Now, what you have to do is, which I didn't, because what I just took that, when this account had 5,000, I just traded to death. I load up, I try to get about $2,000 of margin rolling in there, which is, I don't even know what that is. I'm risking like half the account. It's not even 2%. Because I want to, like I said, if I build an engine, I'm going to put it on a dyno. I'm going to run it till it blows up. I'm not going to run it and go, yeah, that thing runs pretty good. Hey, guy, anybody want to buy my motor? No, I run it to blow it up because I know I can rebuild it. I know I can build another one and just fucking not blow it up. If I really, if I wanted to say, okay, I know where the edge is, now I can look at this thing go smashing up. Now to throw the limits in there. But I can't risk 80. I can't risk 40 pips on that. So if it's going to go smashing up there 1 hour, right? Like this. Start at this rooftop here. So that's going to give that 1 hour to go smashing up, which is right around when everything starts to heat up there. And now it's about trying to get in to these other ones, right? To make some kind of money. Oh, look, it's pulled back into my buy limits here. I guess this is where I'm taking all the heat right now. So look at this. Look at how Australia, look how the sellers have, everybody's in profits that sold above this wick window right here. Every one of those guys is in profit right now. So I expect them to, and I bought all the way back into this. I still got limits here, and I got a little bit of margin left over for these entries here. I'm having a real hard time. The computer's not letting me record this. And look at Bitcoin going to coming all the way back to the floor now here again. Obvious scalp. But yeah, look at this RSI. It's difficult. So, yeah. But, yeah, Cardwell's a trip, man. I mean, he's a country guy. I don't know why I'm fucking freaking this computer out so bad. It's got too much spyware on it. Yeah, Cardwell, man, what a mind blower. And he's not doing this. He's using bar charts, I think. I'm like, just put the line chart up there. Why torture yourself? So the trend line analysis here is pretty obvious. Trend lines just don't work. How many times I told you? So here's your classic breakout and pull back. It keeps pulling back, and that's daily chart though. Like I said, it doesn't matter to me because I'm just going to buy here because it's new lows. My reason for buying is not that RSI is at 30, because RSI here at 35 was an amazing entry. And this is your window, this is it. And it's just forever. Here in the monthlies, like I said, that monthly chart, this is the monster pivot of all pivots. And look at this. Been going down all year. Really since the first of the year. All the way down. But isn't this the amazing move, though? Once we got right, this window right here, insane. So that is an RSI sell there, reversal, but I don't think it's going to work. This is more overbought at a lower price here, but it's just too like, wow. If you go to the weekly, you're like, I don't think so. So that's the way I feel about like I felt about the gold market. Same way here is like, wow, this thing is just, look at this fucking thing. Keep going down here. I just don't know. Look at the weekly. Look at this weekly chart, for God's sakes, man. Look at this hammer here. Oh. But the time to buy is this really big down one. So here's the kind of faint. There's your RSI reversal, kind of faint. Barely there. Yeah, she's drifting up. But it does no good. Like, I could sit here and I could take this account up to all the way back to $5,000 and people would say, yeah, it's a demo account. Try doing that with real money. Well, you can, anything, all this stuff you can do it. You can just see right there. Like, I'm up $3. Should I get? I'm up. Look, I'm winning. Get out. Get out of everything. So how do you balance? When are you going to stop trading too? In other words, say you made money for 8 months straight and you're making 10 grand a month. You just made $80,000. Stop trading. Right? Just, oh, look at that. Forever successful trading. Or do you start to try to fine-tune your trading and just get better and work harder at it? And people say that's that throwaway line, work smarter, not harder. I don't think that's possible. Like, I don't know what you're talking about. Like, well, that's what I do when I play guitar. You see, I'm just really smart about my scales, so I don't really have to practice. What? I mean, this the muscle memory, the execution. There's no fucking such thing as work. I don't know where that came from. Work smarter, not harder. Okay, well maybe plan it out, but you still got to work. You could lay this shit out. In fact, most of the most time-demanding shit I've ever done is stuff where I'm like, oh, I got all these toys I bought. Great, now I got to now it's a burden. Bought all this gear. I got to plug it in, turn it on, worry about is it got a dust cloth? Is it? Never spent so much fucking effort, and that was after buying the thing. So trading is the same thing. You got all this money, and got it in accounts, and this one does that, and that one does this, and you're testing a EA maybe, or you're back testing some theory or something. People are doing this stuff. And then people are just trading for entertainment. They don't need the money. And some people are trying to make money because they want to quit their job. But this is just like another job. I don't even see a difference. I think your day job, the job you have before you trade it's easier. Only because it's consistently, there's no swings in equity. It's equity stable, right? It's the, what do they call it in the Bitcoin thing? They wanted the bit dollars because, oh, it's a stable currency. There's a stable version of Bitcoin. But here it's totally radical. Look at these moves in this fucking market. Are you kidding me? Seriously, look at this British pound. Look at it back here. You got a trade plan for this shit over here? That's the trick. You got a trade plan for that shit there. There's no Fibonacci on that fucking thing. I'm sorry. Where do you see it? Oh, well, you just don't know how to do Fibonacci. What? This is fucking December 20th to fucking today. And your trade was? Well, I can see my trade. I'm fucking just going, dude, it's dropped down 20 pips. I think I'll buy it. Actually, I see an RSI signal there, actually. Right there. Here's a reversal. Or Constance Brown. Connie Brown and this other guy, Cardwell, got in this lawsuit with this guy that was going to write a book about the RSI thing, and they got a big pissing match about it. But it's no secret. I mean, Constance, what a weird name, Brown talks about it in her book, Positive Negative Reversals. And then the empowered trading people misunderstand it as being they call it a certain kind of divergence, like I can't remember what they call it, a hidden divergence. It's not hidden. Hidden divergence is when you have divergence from Cardwell. Hidden divergence is divergence upon a divergence. Like you have divergence inside the last failure swing. There's divergence underneath the original divergence. It's tucked in there. It's still divergence, but the positive negative reversal is the trend continuation trade, the positive negative reversals. So here they're like this, and it's all scrunched down here, but I can see it. This shit here. That's the trade. Right? This is it. You got to be able to perceive that this is coming. You have this, you have that. And I think it was last night's, or a couple of days ago trade. Pulls back, more were sold, higher price, get in. It's a trend trade. Here's like the last part of it, the failure of that. We don't know how long it's going to stay here before it possibly comes to here. It hits my sell tickets, and then it has to pull back off there for me to make some kind of money. And how many oars do I have in the water? Look at this kickback. Kind of a reversal there, but I'm pushing the reversal. So you see this transverse thing? You're slicing it like this so you can see the next trade to come. RSI makes it back to here. And naturally it's oversold there, but it doesn't have to make it all the way back to there. And there's also every little zigzag on the way back to there. So look at this. how it gets back there. It just keeps whittling down, whittling down. You get below 30, people coming in. And look at this thing rocket, shearing off these tops. Bam, all sellers come in. Like I said, if you could afford the swing on that, it's killer. But then we see this shit. Another little auction inside the bigger auction. Some mini auctions. And once you see where you need to put your tickets is in these deep lows here, or highs in these vacuums here. Now here's a giant vacuum that forms. Big cavernous thing. And finally, scoops out this area. And as it's going up, we're making this big triangle of void. So this is, to me, this is the structure. And now we've filled that void almost to the tippy top. Then we have this little mini void come back. So now we have, tonight we coming into, tomorrow we have a void here, we have a void here. We still have this cavernous void we could rocket down into at any point. Tomorrow London opens, we could become smashing down into here. Now, if I buy every 20 pips here on one case with this account, the way it's sized, I could probably make about $30 there. Get the account up to 130. You could take an account. So I always trading demos, always trading a demo, because you'd be surprised what kind of just ridiculously dumbass fucking trading you could do and make money. You just can't even believe it. But you start to prove it to yourself. That's when this guy says, you don't see anybody making money. Well, it's not going to help you believe that you can make money. Yeah, double the account. 8,000% required to get back to the starting gate. Yeah, I think I could do it. It's just going to be a lot of work, But no, it's just about this. I like this guy that wrote, I like to trade. I think it's exciting and interesting, but looking back, I'd probably have done better just by holding. You have to spend so much time trading, researching for a small gain or something. That's true. It's just like anything. It reminds me of when I go to the store there, and they say, "Oh, here's this guy talking about, do you have the script for this EA for MT5?" Well, he says MT4 is outdated, and it's strange that people still develop for an obsolete platform. I don't think it's obsolete at all. MT4 has never been better because MT5 is a complete failure. I mean, MT5 all it gives you is a couple extra time frames. It looks like shit. It's just a piece of shit, really. I mean, MT4 is no, but MT4 is like Windows XP. It's a lot better than Windows 8. I mean, you can't even adjust the border. You cannot adjust this. In Windows XP, you could come up and make the borders bigger in Windows. You cannot touch this shit. Everything in Windows, it's just like you can't fucking have there's not even a script that comes with MT4 unless you have these scripts here. And I have tons of them all over the place because I don't see it's conspiracy, but why in the fuck isn't there a script in there? I think it's maybe because the broker would be like, dude, we already got one guy out there with these fucking, I don't know, maybe the brokers are saying, it's fucking up their servers, but they should love it. All this fucking trading I'm doing, even this fake account. But another thing with this account, don't forget the spreads went to 40 pips on this thing. I traded this thing through Christmas. A lot of things, a lot of torture that I just wasn't going to, I'm not treating it like real money, go flat on all positions. I'm not going to worry about this. Is like it's worse than a rent-a-car. I just don't care. Just like if you're testing an EA, do you care if the EA gets blown up? Oh my God, don't turn the EA on again. I can't watch the account get blown up. And people love to talk about that. You blew up the account. Okay, it's $500. I blew it up. I put $500 in an account and I lost $500. That's like some guy doing 5 bad trades with a 10 pip stop on standard lots in one day. What's the chance of that, right? But yeah, I mean, like I said, but this idea that you're going to find the optimal trade entry, that means you are gonna size up on one ticket. But I like this kind of, I suppose, kind of a I don't know, chess game kind of. I don't know if you call it a chess game approach, but just kind of a plotting, a calculated laying of tickets that's very logical. And of course, if it was real money, I would dump the currency. Like when this British pound goes up, or I'm going to sell into this, which is getting out on the long, same thing. This thing comes flying back to here. We all know people are going to dump here. There's going to be a controversy in 20 pips from now. We all know that, right? Any structured trader would know that. I guess we don't all know that. Plus, we're coming into this void on this, there's still void to be filled here from the collapse earlier. We satisfied this void. People came in. There's a double bottom. We even got divergence. And see, as soon as I zoom in, you can see the divergence so beautifully. It's so painfully obvious. Nice, clean 5-period divergence. Right? Here's the floor. We reject that. Nice, clean 1 hour trade. You just made fucking $300 on a standard lot. Now, where you might get spooked is there's no divergence on this thing, but what if you bought here on a limit and you got to here and you didn't get out and you saw it come back, or you moved a trailing stop to here and you only made $20. Then you saw it go like this. You're like, holy fuck, what the fuck's going on? Because you're so focused on this. Actually, this finally you get like a divergence underneath the floor, right? So I guess it's a dual whammy, right? Most people that are bullish tonight on the pound probably all have the same, on the 1 hour chart, have the same kind of outlook there. And would you go to the 5-minute chart to get in would you go to the 1 minute chart to get in on a pullback on the 1 minute chart right in here or on here? Yeah. Why not just buy at the market right now and then put limits in? Buy one at the market and put limits in. I'd say that's the best approach. Buy a couple here, put limits in, just in case you're wrong. This trade turned out to be good. These were better. It's as simple as that. I would say, if I had any one rule to say, I would say, whatever you're going to do 2 versions of it. You're going to play music? Play a fast song. Play a slow song. Write a fast song, write a slow song. Write a major key, write a minor key. You got to have something. You could not fucking just have one note fucking... You can't have an album that's just one note. I guess you could, right, to be that guy. But after that, people are like, okay, what do you got? We know you can be ridiculous, but can't you have something more concrete? I don't know if that helps. But that's my rant. Look at this thing breaking out of jail. Yeah, I think the dollar's creamed. Besides, fundamentally, don't forget, they can't raise interest rates here after the volatility. And besides, everything's already, look at the cat's out of the bag. I mean, they would love to think that they're going to impeach the president of the United States, but that's not going to make the dollar go down. But it will for fundamentalists. They'll say, look at America's fucked, and actually, where I live, they're already overbuilding. So I already see new stuff going up, and I'm like, okay, it's 2008 all over again. You just put up another strip mall, and who do you really think can? What, dude? Unless people just start fucking like rabbits, there's not enough people to even shop at these places. I don't know what they're thinking. Maybe because the mall's closed down, I guess is where people are going to. These new strip malls and shit. Yeah. I don't know. Hit. Yeah, so this guy called Top Traders, and went to Top Traders and made a comment there. That was interesting. But yeah, it's yeah, 63. Well, I'm almost back to $63. But it's like what's next, right? So I've been listening to this guy that does his name is Kit Baga. And this guy is fucking hysterical. I mean, if you're into like a guy doing a country voice, and just he's got some type of apparatus on his thing. He calls up computer repairs scammers, or the IRS is calling you with you have to go buy an iPhone, a Google card to pay off the police. Funny shit, man. I mean, just laughing all day long. I couldn't breathe. But yeah, that's it, man. I just gonna be like I said, I was up $5. I could have got out of everything. But yeah, I'm kind of just like I don't trade like this. I trade just a euro dollar. So for me, it's I got limits sitting here like this. I'm gonna buy this. I'm gonna buy that. 2 hours. I don't get into this. I like to get in at the bottom, like this. I want to get in here on this window. If I want to press the button for 15 minutes and buy 3 pips deep for 15 minutes, that's how I start the day. Let me get in the market. Let me buy 4 pips deep, and that's why I like the double clicks, because it's hard coded in here. Now this is a really I'm going to do this just to show you, but this is kind of risky. I'm going to put see, this is where it's talking about the market and displaying and doing this stuff, and then people like, you blew up the account. I know, because I'm trying to say, like, I'm buying like so close together in this pack here. It's a tenth of. I compromised. I made this 5 pips deep here, and this is 4.2. It's not a good idea. For this currency is so volatile that trade only works over here, really. Here's 5 pips deep. Here's 4.8, 4.6. So if I double click all these all the way up, I could get a 10K in there. Just slightly apart. I don't know if the account's going to make it through the night if I do that, but those are all 15-minute tickets, though. That's very much picking out like the size here. And I created a folder called 10 pips deep, and I was going to write all the way down to 10 pips deep, so there's 9.5, and I could make it a half a pip between each ticket, and I could get 20K in this folder. and this branch off this tree here. And that's all there is to it. Bottom of the hour is coming, waiting for some kind of drama. This computer's so fucked up. It's still trying to update from all the mouse movements I've made. So, we just wait. The pound looks very ripe. See, the pound's in a different phase. This looks like it could still pull back. This looks like it's done pulling back. So if I was to put all these up vertically and really just trade one at a time, that's another thing I could do to make more money, is trade one at a time, which I haven't been doing. I literally just, when I click this shit, I'm clicking all these guys with about the same script. Buy on limits. And I have some sell on limits on that pound there, and they last for an hour, and hopefully they're going to just make it. Because everybody's in a different phase. So I'm going to go to the 1 hour charts. Here, see the half hour, that's a perfect setup in the half hour. Right? Isn't that the best? It comes ripping back to that breakout point, that's where I put the tickets actually. They didn't fill. I put them too deep on that. I think it might be double clicks here, but no, I put the cluster in right here. And that is a perfect fill. No, no signal on RSI, I doubt there, because it's too. I don't think that's a signal. So after a while, I just got used to looking at the market, and I can kind of tell it's probably not going to be a buy signal. See, it's not a reversal. It's not more oversold here than it was here, right? And so the other problem with RSI is that if you live by the RSI, die by the RSI, if that's the only trade plan you got, you don't have a buy new low trade plan. So here you see divergence, and it gets kind of a lazy start, and then here's kind of a hidden divergence. So this is the hidden divergence that Cardwell talks about, is that you've got this initial divergence here, and then these two happen inside that. So we have divergence here, and then this divergence is happening above the trend line. A real good one would happen inside in here, closer in. Here's your sell off. Here's your sell signal, kind of long-winded. Divergence. Here's a 2 period, like a 4 period negative reversal. Good trade, but not a lot of money, not a lot of pips. So this auction theory to me explains a lot more. That this is the price because this is the edge of the market, and your limits can come in here. But trading at the market on the clock, yeah, you'd nail it here. But you've also got your limit entry. And here we are at $55. I'm up 15. Waiting for the British pound to go screaming up into my sell limits. And yeah, I could sit here and I wait till it goes to $125, get out, reload, go flat. Which, oh, look at this beautiful run on the New Zealand. And that's coming up into my sell limits. Like I said, you might have to pluck those off if you've overloaded the pluck off. If they come screaming in, I'll take off the top tickets here and just start selling right at new highs. Right, just leave these in. I don't know how long those last that I put in there. See that? Now we're all the way back to $63. And I could ride this all the way to $300. People would say, oh, that's just fucking amazing. And then some people would say, oh, dude, it's easy. It's a demo. Actually, right now I've got available margin, but since I'm trying to stay strictly on a limit plan, I just let it go. Now I think that the key would be to dump each one of these. If they're most profitable, for me to really discover that, I'd have to open up the terminal and figure out which is the biggest winning trade, what's about to cash out. Because what is the so New Zealand's going to cash out anyways here. And those are the scalps. So I should let those cash out. And that's what it's about, like deciding how you're going to do it. Are you going to specialize in one currency? Are you going to kind of compromise your profits by doing a unison trading? Are you going to try to say, well, this one looks like it hasn't cashed out yet, so as the euro goes up here and it cashes out and everything kind of cashes out, and do I sell up into that tonight? And I'd say, yeah, I'd sell up into that lightly, because if this thing gets above 15 later this week, it's just there's so much pent up void above and below here, but we're coming close to the top edge border now. And this is the critical thing. You're coming to the top of the edge of the border. And what's going to happen up there? So 30 minutes a great setup. The 1 hour is a great setup. Let's put everybody on the 1 hour plan. So that's a little too zoomed out. Can't really see what's going on there, but let's zoom this in. So let's take everybody to chunky style. Well, when you're like this, you only have so much screen. You have to be like this, I suppose. I just can't use the mouse. Use the hotkeys here. So that's that. All the way back to $70. Now don't forget, I was at $34 this afternoon, and I was at $125 last night, and then we took on about I was in $70 a margin, and it just on and on. Pretty tough to trade for currency pairs. But they are kind of moving in unison right now. The dollar is getting killed across the board on all these, but this is not always the way it is. I think it's only because you're coming into Wednesday. And I might have to pluck off some of those New Zealands, but I think it's a good sell up in there. The cashing out is then going into sell limits, right? So it's the perfect soup there. All right, so that's I have to get everybody a Cuban sandwich.